every ending, there is a new beginning.
I want to tell my story.
We are all in this together now. I'm going to be a little emotional.
This is the future.
You work hard to keep your mouth healthy. But wait, does your toothpaste work just as hard? Oral-B Pro Expert Advanced Science. Ordinary toothpaste is clean. Oral-B toothpaste goes beyond clean, not only attacking bacterial plaque, but helping to prevent its regrowth, preventing issues dentists check most. Go beyond clean with the toothpaste brand dentists use themselves. Oral-B, brush like a pro.
Guess who's wearing dentures? Have you guessed who? With Fixodent, there's no difference because it gives 10 times stronger hold for your dentures. Fixodent, life with more bite.
Want healthy-looking skin? Aveeno, formulated with the soothing properties of oat, is scientifically proven to moisturize for 24 hours by nourishing and helping protect your dry, sensitive skin, leaving you feeling your naturally beautiful best. Aveeno, healthy-looking skin. It's in our nature.
DIY will be heading up the murder. Why have they not already been arrested?
This is serious. They could have killed you. No case is worth jeopardizing your safety.
I've been meaning to call.
Did you lose my number?
The eyes and all major internal organs have been removed.
We may be looking at a ritual murder.
You've got 48 hours to find them before they kill someone else.
The truth is, you're looking for a needle in a haystack.
We need to stop them, and we need to do it fast.
Grace, brand new series, continues Sunday at 8 on ITV and ITV Hub.
Now the latest from ITV News Central in the East Midlands.
Hello, welcome to ITV News Central for the East Midlands. On the programme tonight, a judge rules that a university directly discriminated against a student from Nottingham who took her own life.
Also on the programme, a special ceremony in Hinckley to remember the fallen and their family 100 years on.
Just a simple comment, we will not forget.
And we won't.
I'm filling up. Yeah.
Plus, gaming or gambling. We explore the hidden cost of the gaming industry that's pushing children to addiction.
I'm finding out why the widow of a Red Arrows pilot is taking to the skies of Northamptonshire in this iconic aircraft.
They might be banned from the Chelsea Flower Show, but love them or loathe them, are garden gnomes making a comeback.
And many of us have seen some fairly soggy conditions out there today. Things are looking a little quieter for the weekend. I'll be back later with all the details.
Good evening. A judge has ruled a university directly discriminated against a student from Nottingham who took her own life. Natasha Abrahart was in her second year of a physics degree in Bristol when she died in April 2018. She was 20 years old.
Natasha's parents sued the university and today a judge ruled it failed to accommodate her mental health disability. He also ordered it to pay damages of £50,000. Robert Murphy reports.
Natasha Abrahart's parents had won their legal battle, but there was little sense of triumph.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming. His Honour Judge Roughton, a senior circuit judge, has today found that the University of Bristol was liable for multiple and repeated breaches of the duty it owed to our wonderful daughter, Natasha Abrahart, under the Equality Act 2010. These breaches amounted to disability discrimination. in particular, he found that the university breached its duties to make reasonable adjustments to the way it assessed Natasha.
Natasha Abrahart was a 20-year-old second-year physics student originally from Nottingham studying at the University of Bristol. She was diagnosed with chronic social anxiety disorder in February 2018. She took her own life 2 months later, on the day she'd been due to give a presentation to a 300-seat lecture theatre.
Primary stressor and cause of Natasha's depressive illness was oral assessment. Today, 1,481 days after Natasha took her own life. On the day of an assessment she simply couldn't do. After years of protestations from the university, that it did all it could to support her. After battling our way through an inquest and a civil trial, we finally have the truth. The University of Bristol broke the law.
We blame the university for maintaining a system which was so inflexible that it exposed our daughter to suffering, which the judge described as serious and, from what I have seen in the evidence, continuous.
Tonight, the University of Bristol told ITV News, "Our whole university community has been deeply affected by Natasha's tragic death, and we would once again like to extend our sympathies to her friends and family. We believe staff in the School of Physics worked incredibly hard and diligently to support Natasha during her time with us, and it was due to their efforts that she was receiving specialist mental health support from the NHS. Our staff's efforts also included offering alternative options for Natasha's assessments to alleviate the anxiety she faced about presenting her laboratory findings to her peers. We are very grateful to them for their endeavours on Natasha's behalf and for their unwavering commitment to our students." The university said it was considering appealing the decision.
We have been asked whether we think that the University of Bristol has changed since Natasha died. How can it have changed when it doesn't accept that it did anything wrong? Even during the trial, we heard the university's disability services said that they would only reluctantly support a disabled student where their disability meant that they had to communicate via an intermediary.
Natasha is one of at least 10 students to have taken their own lives at the University of Bristol since 2016.
We love Natasha very dearly. We will always love her. And it is heartbreaking that our exceptional daughter, who gave so much joy and had so much more to offer the world, was failed so badly and suffered such unnecessary torment.
Margaret Abrahart ending that report by Robert Murphy. Of course, it's quite a busy time for students across the East Midlands with exams and assessments. If you or someone you know needs any support or advice, you can find links to organisations who can help on our website. That's itv.com/central.
To other news now, and an inquest into the death of a baby at City Hospital in Nottingham said the newborn could have lived longer if hospital staff gave his mother a C-section earlier. Quinlius Parker died on July the 16th last year. He lived just 36 hours. His mother, Emmy Studenki, said she asked for an emergency C-section and questioned why she couldn't have one after there were concerns about heavy bleeding. After Quinn's heart rate dropped, an emergency C-section was performed, but Quinn was born floppy and pale. Nottingham University NHS Trust has apologised to Quinn's parents after accepting it had let the family down.
A date has been set for the trial of a doctor accused of trying to kill a top plastic surgeon at his home in Nottinghamshire. Graham Perks suffered serious injuries in January last year after allegedly being stabbed at his Hallam home near Southall. Dr Jonathan Brooks denies attempted murder and arson and intends to defend himself. Today, Nottingham Crown Court heard his trial will begin on July the 4th in front of a High Court judge. The government is coming under increasing pressure to put tougher restrictions on so-called loot boxes in computer games. Some claim it's a form of gambling which is easily accessible for under 18s.
Now, not all of us will know what loot boxes are, but they offer random items or upgrades within games, and they can be bought with real money. And a recent report suggests that hundreds of thousands of children already show addictive behaviours towards them. Some spend in excess of £500 a month. Nick Smith has more.
For young fans of computer games, it's a hobby which doesn't come cheap, especially with more and more potential to spend real money in virtual worlds. 10-year-old Jaden from Peterborough is a big sports game fan, but his mum Paige is worried by the temptations to keep buying upgrades to his teams.
You can get players, packs and consumables in them, and it helps you build your team. Some of it costs quite a lot as well.
You're already spending £60 plus sometimes on a game, and the fact that then I've got to pay extras just to feel included when it should be in the basic packages, I think. So yeah, I think it's slightly out of order, to be honest.
One form of in-game purchasing which has come under a lot of scrutiny is loot boxes, with a House of Lords committee declaring them to be a gateway to gambling. Loot boxes are a feature of computer games which have emerged in the last decade or so. Sometimes gamers want to buy upgrades to their experience, like new characters or fancy items. However, rather than just a normal in-game purchase, the way loot boxes work is that a gamer will pay to open the box without knowing what's inside. It could be that item you really wanted, or it could be something you didn't. It's led some to claim that this is a game of chance, and therefore a form of gambling. Jonathan Pinnickett says he has first-hand experience of how addictive they can be.
By chasing the buzz and the rush of luck that loot boxes give you, my spending went completely out of control, and I ended up spending nearly £3,000. Loot boxes aren't currently regulated as gambling on a technicality that the items don't hold financial rewards, but I think it's really important not to underestimate that situation when a parent finds out all of a sudden that one of their kids has spent thousands of pounds that they may not be able to afford on a video game.
Jonathan helped lead a survey of 1,800 children, with a third saying they'd purchased loot boxes in one form or another. One of the academics analysing the results claims the line between gaming and gambling has become blurred.
We have evidence that the very design of loot box openings in games borrows techniques directly from regulated gambling, and it shows you near misses. So when we spoke to young people about this, they told us that it often makes them want to try again, so maybe they have the chance next time to get the item that they really want.
Games developers dispute the link with gambling and say they do have existing safeguards to limit spending. One industry expert says the financial model of loot boxes is very lucrative, raking in around £10 billion last year alone.
Ultimately it boils down to revenue. More and more developers are leaning towards changing from standalone products with no financial updates to games as a service, unlocking more and more content with a steady stream of chance-based game mechanics which players have to purchase.
Well, the Department for Culture, Media and Sport ran its own consultation on loot boxes, and a spokesperson told ITV News it's due to publish a response in the coming months. And those who've spent huge sums of money on them and later regretted it will be hoping our lawmakers can put much stricter rules in place on their use. Nick Smith, ITV News.
The ITV Evening News is on after us. Let's take a look at what's coming up with Charlene White.
The Prime Minister says he won't block names being published in Sue Gray's report into government parties during lockdown. Boris Johnson says he's looking forward to seeing its contents pretty soon. It could lead to tragedy, the warning from one Premier League manager after another violent pitch invasion. And 38 towns applied, but only 8 have been crowned cities. We'll tell you why and where. So join us for those stories and so much more from 6:30.
Well, we can tell you right now that in the East Midlands, Bolsover in Derbyshire hasn't been selected for its city bid. Last year, the Derbyshire market town was ranked as the 7th happiest place to live, but it was not among the 8 towns granted city status for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. Boston in Lincolnshire and Northampton also missed out.
Well, the time is now 12 minutes past 6. You're watching ITV News Central. Thanks for joining us. Still to come on the programme, we take a look behind Derby's new multi-million-pound sports village, complete with its own water park.
100 years after 6 mothers who had each lost 3 sons in World War I, laid the foundation stone of a war memorial in Hinckley. Their relatives have come together to remember them in a special ceremony.
Yes, last month an appeal was launched to find family of the original 6 women. And in fact, one of those families, the Dixons, were tracked down with just a few days to spare. The event today also marks the centenary of the War Memorial. Danny Crawshaw was there.
Six mothers who had each lost 3 sons laid the foundation stone for this war memorial before it was unveiled 100 years ago. Today their descendants came to honour those who lost their lives, including the relatives of Mary Ann Dixon, whose sons Herbert, Joseph and William were killed in action in France in 1917 and 1918. Their nephew and his daughter can't imagine the heartache the deaths caused.
It was unbearable, I imagine, because although times have changed, people haven't really changed, and I can't imagine how they soldiered on. And that's one of the reasons why I'm proud.
He was quite young when his brothers went to the First War, so he didn't really know them very much, and he didn't really speak a lot of them, and it must have been very traumatic for his mum, you know, to send 3 boys away and then for them, you know, never to return.
Come back.
As well as other relatives, there was music from the Salvation Army, and members of the community gathered to pay their respects, including local school children.
It made me feel emotional because there's so many people that gave their life for our freedom.
I felt like it was quite an honour to be here because this is the people who sacrificed their life for our freedom in our country, so we have peace.
The ceremony ended with family members laying a wreath.
It was very moving, to be honest. Just a simple comment, we will not forget.
And we won't.
I'm filling up. Yeah.
The family members and a community that will never forget the sacrifices made. Danny Crawshaw, ITV News.
The widow of a Red Arrows pilot has taken to the skies of Northamptonshire in a Spitfire to mark the 10th anniversary of the charity she set up in his name.
Yes, Dr. Emma Egging's husband John died when his aircraft crashed at an airshow in 2011. She set up the John Egging Trust to fulfil his ambition to inspire young people facing adversity. Sarah Cooper reports.
Enjoying the blue skies of Northamptonshire and beyond from inside a Spitfire. A decade after founding the John Egging Trust, or JET, in her late husband's name, Dr. Emma Egging's flight is a fitting grand finale for the charity's 10th anniversary.
Don't know which way to look.
No, I know there's a lot to see, isn't there?
We use aviation and STEM as that springboard, so not whatever those young people go on to do, it's that aviation which is at the heart. So for me to be in a Spitfire, you know, flown by an amazing pilot, you know, to be able to be in the air, I think it's just incredible. And I've never had the opportunity to fly in such an amazing aeroplane, and so I'm chuffed to bits.
What do you think John would make of all this, everything you've done over the last decade?
John would be so jealous because it would have been his dream, you know, to get in a Spitfire. He'd like to flow in a Spitfire, I'm sure. But yeah, for me to be doing this, of course he'd be proud. But yeah, pretty jealous as well.
Over the last year, Emma's taken on 10 challenges to mark 10 years of JET, and she's raised more than £70,000 so far. And flying alongside her for the final challenge are JET graduates Nathan and Bethany. They've both been supported by the charity since their early teens.
I had a very troubled upbringing just from being misbehaving, and then I was able to translate that back and go, actually, this is just an example of what I can achieve if I try and put my mind to it.
It's completely built me as a person. I don't even recognise myself before starting the programme. I'm confident, I'm resilient, I feel like I can kind of take on the world and just be positive and grateful for everything that happens.
With this final challenge, the sky really is the limit. and the pilots are also privileged to play their part.
I was good friends with John. We were flatmates for a period of time whilst we were both student instructors, and yeah, he was always so passionate about trying to improve the lives of young people. And if he could be here today to see what Emma has completed or achieved in the last 10 years, I think he would be absolutely mind-blown.
And after a flight to remember, their heads are still in the clouds.
Goodness me, how graceful and beautiful, and yeah, amazing to have the guys on my wingtips as well.
I think I was just yelling the whole time just from excitement, honestly. It was just incredible.
The rolls was going on, Spitfires going here, there and everywhere. It was fantastic, loved it.
After a decade of raising aspirations, the John Egging Trust looks on course to inspire even more young people to aim high. Sarah Cooper, ITV News.
Fabulous footage. Now, after more than 3 years of planning and construction, Derby's new £42 million sports village opens to the public tomorrow. As well as a 50-metre pool, the venue includes a water park, steam and sauna rooms and a gym.
It comes just 2 weeks, though, after the Queen's Leisure Centre in the city centre finally closed its doors after 90 years. Our correspondent Phil Brewster reports.
Less than 24 hours to go, and staff at the new Moorways Sports Village are applying last-minute touches ahead of the big opening. The centre officially opens tomorrow morning, but all week they've invited various groups to come along and check out the facilities.
We've had a variety of local swimming clubs, stakeholders, so the canoe clubs, etc., Sub-Aqua, and then we've also worked with community groups, etc., just to come and get some people in the building so we can test our systems and processes to make sure they are, and just to get some general feedback, which has been absolutely unbelievable.
The new centre replaces the old Moorways site, which was finally demolished in early 2018. It's taken more than 3 years and £42 million to build, but remarkably it's come in on time and on budget. The facilities include a 50-metre swimming pool and a water park, complete with waves and water slides. There's also a sauna and steam room, a series of gym classes and a teaching pool with sensory lighting which can be used by children with autism. Upstairs in the gym, we asked people what they made of the facilities and how important it was for the city.
It's very important, absolutely, yeah, especially for the youngs as well. You know, the swimming pool, and everybody wants to keep fit nowadays as well, so it's good.
The machinery and the way it's all laid out, excellent, excellent.
We've waited quite a while for it after the old one got flattened, so this is superb.
Top of the art, very good standard, and everything you need really.
But as one era begins, another comes to an end. Just under 2 weeks ago, the Queen's Leisure Centre on Cathedral Road closed its doors after 90 years, after the City Council said it was too costly to run. During that time, thousands learned to swim there, including double Olympic gold medal winner Adam Peaty. But staff at the new Moorways Centre expect to pick up the slack, with the aim of attracting 1 million people through its doors every year.
We've got a 10-year contract to work with the operator. It's a competitive bid. We know our figures where we're going to get, and we manage 208 facilities up and down the country, so we've got a wealth of experience, and I'm confident that we'll have a very successful and thriving leisure facility.
The centre opens 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Council bosses are hoping it proves a big hit. Phil Brewster, ITV News, Derby.
Some football now, and Leicester's penultimate game of the Premier League season ended in a 1-1 draw away at Chelsea. The Foxes.
Meanwhile, Mansfield now know who they'll be playing in the League Two playoff final at Wembley. It's after Port Vale came through a dramatic penalty shootout last night against Swindon Town. Swindon could have won it with their 5th penalty, but it was saved by the Port Vale goalkeeper. The shootout then went to sudden death, and Swindon blasted their 8th penalty over the bar. That means Mansfield and Vale will meet in the playoff final on Saturday the 28th of May.
Now, are they lovable characters or tacky and old-fashioned? Well, it seems there's quite a divide when it comes to garden gnomes.
Research shows those over 65s are shunning them, but they're gaining popularity among younger age groups. Lauren Hall reports.
Sometimes they raise a smile. Other times, they're more likely to raise a few eyebrows.
When I looked up
It's fair to say we have a bit of a love-hate relationship with garden gnomes. Among their fans are Chris and Lorna Cerner. They've allowed them to take over their garden centre, and it's thought to be one of the largest collections in the world.
In the garden itself, at the moment, we have around 1,500 gnomes, and still to be restored, another 1,000 gnomes. They have always got a smile on their face, and they are happy little people.
No doubt they're even happier when they're restored to their former glory.
It's just nice to be able to sit down and do a bit of painting, really. I mean, some people do watercolours, other people paint gnomes, I suppose. And it's the sort of thing that you do just to keep the garden looking smart, really. I mean, you wouldn't want a gnome in the garden with all the paint peeling off, would you?
Well, some wouldn't want a gnome in their garden at all. A recent survey found more than half those over the age of 65 consider them outdated. Although they're perhaps proving popular with a younger generation. The hashtag Garden Gnome gained nearly 17.5 million views on TikTok last year. It's a trend they're noticing at this garden centre in Leicester.
I think, to be honest, a lot of the gnomes that you see in the marketplace now are more orientated towards the younger generation. They don't look so much like the traditional gnomes. And of course, gnomes have been in movies recently, which may have an impact on the younger generations as well.
Those who are well read will know that placing stone figures in gardens is an ancient tradition. Although gnomes, as we know them, started appearing in the Victorian era, and their popularity has been up and down over the decades.
The name gnome is thought to derive from the Greek word ienomos, that means earth dweller. Mythological beings who were used to protect crops, gardens and keep evil spirits away. Now today there's estimated 5 million garden gnomes in Britain, and they are gaining popularity thanks to movies like Romeo and Juliet and Sherlock Gnomes. So whether you're a fan of gnomes or not, there's gnome denying they have history.
They certainly do. Love them or loathe them, they're still a common sight. Just don't expect to see any at the upcoming Chelsea Flower Show, where garden gnomes have been banned for many years. Lauren Hall, ITV News.
Well, we have more gnomes coming up for you, but right now it's time for the weather with Philippa.
Making the most of it, whatever the weather. Octopus Energy sponsors ITV Central Weather.
Good evening. Well, despite a thoroughly soggy start to the day, some of us have seen a little brightness peeping through this afternoon. And as we head into the weekend, things look relatively quiet. A lot of dry weather, just a few showers, I think more especially likely on Sunday. And where we have the best of the sunshine, it will actually feel fairly warm out there. So high pressure will cling on through the course of the weekend, keeping things fairly quiet. But as we head into the new week, signs of a change. We'll see fronts moving in from the west, and those fronts will provide a focus for further showers or longer spells of rain. Now we do still have some of today's showers lingering on out there, but these will soon move away eastwards, and for the rest of the night it looks pretty quiet. A lot of dry weather, some fairly lengthy clear spells, but a mild night. Temperatures in towns and cities probably hovering around 9-10 Celsius, a touch lower in some rural spots by dawn. And then tomorrow morning, well, a fairly quiet start to the weekend, quite a bit of high cloud around, so perhaps bright rather than sunny initially, but I think as the day wears on we'll see more in the way of sunshine coming through and just the very outside chance of 1 or 2 fleeting light showers. But for most of us, the bulk of the day will be dry, fairly bright, and temperatures will respond fairly well in the sunshine as well. Highs of 18, perhaps locally 19 degrees. Now through the latter stages of tomorrow overnight into Sunday, little in the way of change in that setup. High pressure still the dominant feature, albeit fairly well down to the south by this time. And as Sunday progresses, we may just start to see a few more showers drifting in from the northwest. So an increasing chance of seeing some showers to round off the weekend. But it's as we head into the new week, we see something a little more unsettled all round. Thickening cloud, longer spells of rain, breezier with it too, and temperatures taking a bit of a dip.
Octopus Energy sponsors ITV Central Weather.
Hello, summer. Piri sponsors ITV Pollen Count.
We've got a mixture of tree and grass pollen out there at the moment. Over the weekend, with fairly settled conditions, levels will be in the moderate category, dipping to low as we head into Monday. Do take very good care. I'll see you later.
I can feel the anticipation all round the East Midlands. Let's go back to the garden gnomes. They have, to be fair, got us talking in the newsroom today.
They have. Well, I didn't realise, Steve, that they were out of fashion, because I have a selfie gnome. This is me having a selfie with the selfie gnome in my garden.
Oh, so the gnome is taking a selfie?
Yeah, the gnome is taking a selfie. And it's not just me, because there's flashing images coming up in this next gnome video.
Gary spent his weekends with his disco gnomes. I'm a bit worried about Gary now.
I've never seen a gnome at a disco before, but now you have. That's our Friday treat to you. And before we go, though, I do have some great news for Steve here, because today we announced that you are going to be the main presenter when Bob leaves us in July and he retires, aren't we? So congratulations from all of us here. We're thrilled for you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, a lovely message from you, from everybody. Samina straight away, she sent me a gorgeous text, really lovely. And Bob sent me a lovely email today, so I feel very loved. And all of you on Twitter and Facebook, thank you so much for your comments.
Well,
yes,
it's great news.
But we've got a month of Bob coming up, so let's enjoy that first, shall we?
We will do. But for now, though, that is it. The ITV Evening News is next. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Watch it come to life. Inhale its aroma. Taste its perfection. Hear its gentle crack. Awaken your senses with Lindt Excellence from the Lindt Master Chocolatier.
At Morrison's, we cut the price of midweek meals with over 500 new price cuts. Morrison's, make good things happen.
Ahead of a big weekend of football, there's anger and trepidation as violent pitch invasions mar the game. The latest led to Patrick Vieira kicking an Everton fan at Goodison Park, days after Sheffield United's captain was headbutted. Now, managers are warning it could lead to a potential tragedy.
We're going into dangerous territory where something could happen in a game that has terrible consequences, and I don't think anyone will want to see that, so I think the authorities have to act quickly.
With final day fixtures this weekend, there's a call for caution in case celebrations go too far, also tonight. The moment an attacker is caught by police after launching at tube passengers with a machete. After fierce competition, just who's made the cut in the list of 8 new British cities and why?
What's the best thing about Doncaster?
It's the people. They are lovely.
The people. Yeah, that's the main thing, yeah, the people.
The people.
And Prince Charles flaunts his dance moves on the final day of his Canada tour.
This is the ITV Evening News with Charlene White.
Good evening. There have been warnings of a potential tragedy if the recent spate of violent pitch invasions at football matches aren't stopped. In the latest, just last night, Crystal Palace manager Patrick Vieira kicked an Everton fan who was goading him on the pitch. And ahead of the crucial final weekend in the Premier League, the FA says it's very concerned about the rise in violence. It reminded fans and clubs that the behaviour is illegal and is putting everyone at risk. Here's Amy Lewis.
But once again, football was the sideshow.
The blue smoke.
At full time, supporters swarmed onto the pitch and Crystal Palace's manager, Patrick Vieira, is taunted and reacts. It is the latest incident that has been investigated by the Football Association and police in a week when disorder has overshadowed this game.
I think we're going into dangerous territory where something could happen in a game that has terrible consequences.